in Dublin, California. Nope, not Dublin, Ireland, Dublin, California. I am at a pioneer cemetery out here. Back in the day, a bunch of pioneers settled out here in Dublin, California. And we're gonna check out the cemetery. This is one of the few that are still open in my area. Everything's closed because of all the stuff going on in the world today. And this one is still open. So I've done a video from here before, but might as well do another one because this is one of the few that I'm allowed in without any restrictions. Alongside of this cemetery is a drop-off down into like a little creek bed below, right next to the cemetery. You know, down below is a creek bed. A little bit of water down there right now. I never knew this little slope here existed up in this place. Well, this one's interesting right here. There's no one around, but there is a camping chair set up, and there are beer bottles around here. I don't know if someone was having a party out here last night. I don't know if someone was visiting family and left that behind, but I don't think if they're visiting family, they would have left all this behind right here. It looks like somebody was having a party out here last night and might have left their stuff behind. Jar with money in it right here, along with the camping chair. And a lighter on the ground. Looks like somebody got a little too wasted and left their stuff behind, I guess. Even though on the signage at this park, it's not required, I am still out practicing the safety practices while being out in public. Even though I was reading all the signage and you could be out here in this park. They were basically saying, you know, don't shake hands, blah, blah, blah. But I'm still wearing a mask just to be safe, just to be on the safe side. Like I said, a lot of the old pioneers settled out here in Dublin, and it's covered wagon times. And there's a lot of people who are notable people here in Dublin, California. There's a lot of people in here that have streets named after them and or schools, etc., etc. It's an interesting cemetery. If you're ever in Dublin, California, I would look it up. It is actually right next to a public park kind of area too. So it's weird. It's like a park, historical park, but there's like different old historical buildings still standing, and then right next to it is the Pioneer Cemetery that's here. It's a very interesting setup, the way everything's located. But I guess this was the old part of Dublin back in the day. Another interesting thing about this cemetery is even though it is graves that go back to the 1800s, early 1900s, there are some recent burials in here. And the last time I was here, I had asked one of the locals and they explained it to me. They said there's a lot of people here that have had arrangements at this cemetery for years and years and years and years, and then when they, I guess, got older and passed away, they were able to be buried in here. But it has to be something that you've had it in place for many years. I don't think anybody can just be buried here. It's something that was, I guess, in people's families for years, that so-and-so is going to be buried here. But anything new, anything recent, as far as, I guess, walk-ups, I guess, you can't be buried here unless you had prearranged plans for many years. Here's an example of what I was talking about a minute ago, how there's notable people that helped establish Dublin, California here, and there's people buried in here that may have things named after them. Daugherty, that is a major street here in Dublin, and this is the family burial area, I guess. So it looks like this goes back to the 1800s. Very, very interesting. Let's check it out here real quick. Let's try to zoom out a little bit so we can get the full. May 2013, that's a recent one, but that was somebody that's part of the Daugherty family, so they have, I'm sure, had this in place. They died in 2013. Person was born in 1918, so yeah, I'm sure they already had the arrangements in place. Interesting stones, though. These old Old school stones, very interesting stones. That is actually pretty cool. That would make an awesome picture. There's a little bench area you could sit in. But as massive as this family burial area is, the Doherty family, I guess they were a pretty big deal. I'm gonna probably put a link to a little bit of the Dublin history in the description box below. If I could find one, I'm sure I could find something on Google I can put in the description box below about maybe the overall history of some of these families that are in here. Here's another view of that burial area for the Doherty family. There's a lot of them buried here. All this right here in the front and in the back there, that's all the same family. Here is the Kolb family burial area, and right on this property there's the Kolb house that the family had lived in originally. I do believe, I did a while back a previous video from this place, so I included all that stuff on the previous video that I did a month or two, couple months, 2-3 months ago. And you can see the old barn out in the distance on this property also. Here is a grave of a war veteran. You see the little sign, little star sign next to it. And then on the stone it says, Captain of the U.S. Army, World War II, Korea. And Robert was born in 1924 and passed in 1990. So obviously had the arrangements here for quite some time. There's a guy on a bike over there. I think that's the guy who left his party chair behind in beer, I think. I don't know if you caught that or not. It might be too far away, but that chair, that camping chair I showed you a minute ago, that might belong to him. You know what I wish is, I wish people would take their masks with them and gloves. I mean, people just throw them down on the ground like, you know, and discard them on the ground. It's like, no, take it with you and throw it away. This one's interesting. This wasn't here last time I was here. I don't know, that people have come in this burial area here of this family, and it looks like they've put some kind of grave markers of their own here. I don't know if the original grave markers, as you can see, there's a base of a headstone right there that's kind of missing. I don't know if people had come in here and vandalized this grave, and the family came in and kind of put their own markers since it got vandalized or whatever, but I didn't notice this the last time I was here. And that's a box of flowers or whatever. I don't know what that's about, but... And if this did get vandalized, that's heartbreaking. It really is. And it looks like it might have been, because it looks like there's like some cement here that was tore up. I don't know if this was part of one of the markers or what it was, but it's off to the side. Look at that little guy. A little lizard on the side over here. Oh, there he goes. And in here you could tell which ones are the more recent and which ones are the more older monuments. Totally. This is an older one right here. This area right here is a huge area, but it looks like there's only one stone in here. Unless there's graves here that we just don't know about. Maybe stones were destroyed. But this is a big area with only one grave. Now that last one I showed you, that big area with the one stone, it was actually the grave of a child, so I didn't want to show that too much. I didn't think it was necessary to really show that too much. This is an old one right here. It looks like it's a little overgrown with stuff, but I don't think you can even make out the family name on the front anymore. Looks like the last person to be buried in here was in 1952. The stones are so worn, it's even hard to see the name. I think it's Conway are the names. This one is, the family's name is Fallon, and I do believe there's a street here in Dublin named after the Fallon family. Looks like it's a whole huge area. Oh, it's two different families, I guess, from what I could tell. Yeah, it looks like it's two different families, but it's just one long slab of concrete. Maybe it's, it is actually the same family, I do believe. It's just two different sections. I don't know. It's kind of hard to figure out if it is or not. Because some of the people on the Fallon side are named Tihan. And so, you know, it kind of goes back and forth. So I guess it's all the same family, I would assume. This is an old one, early 1900s pretty much right here, 1914 to 1915, and then the last one was 1951. Flanagan is the family. This one is the Cronin family. It's interesting ironwork right there. That goes back some years. That ironwork, that iron cross. Look, it's a little rusted right now, but this goes back some years. And right beside the cemetery is the old church. That's the back side of the church. My last video I did more extensive coverage on the church and the schoolhouse and a lot of the people that are buried in here too. Another one of the old buildings. This is a barn on this property too. Like I said, this is kind of like a public park / historical area. And that concludes this video. Like I said, be sure to go back a couple of months and check out the more in-depth video I did on this place. Talking about more of the people and showing more of the buildings on the property. But like I said, this is one of the few cemeteries I can come to without any restrictions. So I thought I'd get something uploaded for you guys content-wise. I know it's kind of hard right now because a lot of stuff is closed. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and talk to you later.